Coming up on Loyola News Chicago, students are having colossal deja vu. Find out why safety concerns are worrying Uber riders, and Loyola's theater department is stepping up their game. You won't want to miss this.
From the Convergence Studio in the School of Communication, this is Loyola News Chicago.
Hello and welcome to Loyola News Chicago. I'm Blake Keller.
And I'm Larissa Castillo. Loyola has been stood up again. It looks like the party will stop again this year because Kesha has canceled at Loyola for a second time. She was scheduled to perform Friday night at the annual Colossus event, but canceled earlier this week. Macy Krupasevich went to the Lakeshore campus to hear how students feel about the change.
If you're the owner of these Kesha tickets, turns out you won't be needing them anymore. Loyola students seem to be disappointed, but understanding of the situation.
I talked to some people who were excited to see her, especially like I said, she canceled freshman year. With the recent things that are happening to her, they didn't make sense. But again, just disappointment because where's the glitter going to go?
Student government just released a beautiful press release about how this is an example of care for self, care for others, care for community. But what's most important is remembering that someone's self-care and decisions about her own well-being should come first.
If you purchased Kesha tickets, Department of Programming will be sending out an email March 2nd regarding information on how you can get your full refund. Macy Krupasevich, Loyola News Chicago.
But Colossus isn't a total bust. Comedian Nick Offerman will still be performing Saturday night.
After gathering input from students, faculty, and staff, Loyola has revised its demonstration and fixed exhibit policy. In an email sent earlier this week, Interim President John Pellicero said the new policy better reflects Loyola's values and needs as an institution. Thanks to the updated policy, approval for demonstration is no longer required. Indoor demonstrations may now happen in the Damon Student Center at Lakeshore or the Terry Center on the Water Tower campus. Outdoor demonstrations can now be held throughout the campus and not just on the Damon North lawn. Amplified sound is permitted during outdoor gatherings, and demonstrations and fixed exhibits will be permitted regardless of the content or viewpoints. But they must be lawful and align with Loyola's community standards. There's a lot of reaction to the policy. Katrina Lim is live in our studio with a student government member to talk about reaction to the policy.
Thanks, Blake. So as you said, I'm here with Matar Bayo. He is a senator at the student government of Loyola Chicago. So how are you today, Matar?
I'm good. Thank you guys for having me here.
Yeah, no problem. So do you mind telling us, what do you think of the new demonstration policy?
I think the new policy is definitely the step in the right direction, but there's still a lot of work that's to be done at Loyola. But we really do appreciate the administration listening to the students for once and giving us what we've been working really hard for.
Great. And so what do you think this new policy means for students?
I think the first thing that it means for students is that you definitely have control over the things that happen to you at your campus. I think a lot of students are really apathetic when it comes to student government, for instance, or fighting for their rights. And so when things like this occur, it just really reinvigorates us and gives us courage and strength to fight for the things that we want.
Okay, great. Is there anything else that you'd like to say about the new policy?
I think the new policy it's really good, actually. We got a lot of things that we were fighting for in terms of protests or demonstrations being allowed to happen anywhere on campus, as was aforementioned, and the fixed exhibits, and also in terms of place and manner, we're allowed to do a lot of those things. So I'm really happy with that, and hopefully in the future, whenever we're working for other things, the administration will be more susceptible.
All right. Thank you very much, Matar. Thank you so much for coming. Back to you at the news desk.
Thanks, Katrina. Despite Governor Rauner's veto last Friday, Illinois colleges are still holding out hope for MAP grant funding. There is still a chance the Senate and House could override the veto. Until then, universities are still required to include MAP grants in student financial aid packages. But Loyola officials say that covering the cost of the unfunded MAP grant is still a heavy burden for the school.
We don't want to send the erroneous message that we are somehow accommodating this, that by doing the right thing by our students and agreeing to absorb, well, it would be $20 million over 2 years, that somehow we don't need the state's money.
Hale says Loyola has still not decided how it will make up the $20 million if the veto is not overridden. While we're eagerly counting the days until spring break, students at Chicago State University learned this week that theirs will be canceled. In order for the school to have enough money to last until the end of the semester, Chicago State cut spring break but moved both finals and commencement up by at least a week. Since state funding makes up 30% of CSU's budget, the state budget stalemate in Springfield is worsening CSU's financial issues. No decisions have been made yet about what will happen with Chicago State's summer courses.
A standoff between the FBI and Apple company is raising important questions about phone security, and customers are weighing in. Apple is resisting an order by the Justice Department to unlock the iPhone of San Bernardino shooter Saeed Farouk. The company argues that bypassing this one phone security could create a master key capable of unlocking any phone. In Chicago, Apple supporters gathered earlier this week at the store on Michigan Avenue to show solidarity with the company. Even though only a handful of demonstrators showed up for the rally, one of them told us he worries the case could set a dangerous precedent.
Once you start opening it up to where the government can go into anyone's phones, then companies will want to get into anyone's phones all around the world. It really will just be a sad day for any sort of privacy.
More than 50 rallies were held around the world on Tuesday to support Apple's resistance to help the FBI. And while Apple has seen its share of support, the Justice Department also has its backers. A new study by the Pew Research Center shows that 51% of Americans say Apple should unlock the terrorist iPhone. 38% say Apple should not unlock the iPhone, while 11% are undecided. Apple CEO Tim Cook told ABC News that enabling the FBI to unlock the iPhone amounts to, in his words, the software equivalent of cancer, and he's concerned about where it stops.
The Apple demonstration didn't draw many people, but there was a rally at the Michigan Avenue store on Tuesday evening. Of city officials. The group called for the resignations of Mayor Rahm Emanuel and Cook County State's Attorney Anita Alvarez. Organizers declared it a peaceful protest, but did briefly scuffle with police. The group then continued their march north on Michigan Avenue. None of the protesters were part of the Apple support rally.
Coming up on Loyola News, find out how the Zika virus may affect your upcoming travels.
And one of our nation's top basketball teams came to Gentile Arena to take on the Ramblers. More on that when we come back.
G-morning, sunshine. Wakey, wakey. Text me. I think it might be one in the morning. Are your parents home later? We can hang. LUV, love you. JK. Holla back. Holla back. Holla back. Are you with your friends? That's lame. We're in a huge fight right now. XO. What'd you dream about? Something I did? Are you on your way to the mall? I'm lonely. Nude pics. Send me some. Text me.
For more simple ways to fight the flu, visit www.flu.gov.
It was an exciting night at Gentile Arena, and Jake Mazanke is here to tell us all about it.
Thanks, Blake. Last night, Loyola hosted Wichita State. The Shockers are currently leading the Missouri Valley Conference. It was also senior night for Loyola, and the seniors were obviously focused and ready to go for their last night in Gentile. Rambler fans were also out in force and dressed in white for this one. I'm not sure if Wichita State's Ron Baker actually pays for Tinder like that sign says, but he's definitely trying to get paid by the NBA next season. I'm sure the scouts loved watching him in this one. He was red hot. Beginning first half, Wichita State saves the loose ball out to Baker, who hits the three. He puts the Shockers on the board. More Baker now. He takes a little nice mid-range jumper here. He had 5 points and in the first part and 19 on the night. And Baker can do it all now. Here he is with the dish. Anton Grady puts it in. Wichita extends the lead to as much as 18 in the first half. But senior Devin Turk was not going to go down without a fight. Here he hits a three and puts the Wichita State lead down to 13. Next possession, Loyola got a stop and the ball back. Turk again, ball in his hands. Hits a three with a man in his face, cuts the lead to 10. Loyola goes into half trailing 37-27. Now Lou Wolf was definitely feeling it here, hitting a little whip nay-nay as the Ramblers started to come back. You know who else was feeling it? Devin Turk. He takes this in the second half. Nice little mid-range here. He had 18 points on the night, but the Ramblers couldn't keep it going. Wichita State ends up running away with this one. Here's Rashard Kelly. Too easy on the layup there. Wichita ends up winning this one. Final score 76-54. Loyola ends up falling to a 7-10 conference record. They will finish the regular season this Saturday at Drake before beginning MVC conference tournament play. Men's basketball is not the only team to play a national powerhouse this week. The men's volleyball team traveled to Lewis University on Wednesday to take on the 14th ranked Flyers. The game was a rematch from last year's championship game, and again the Ramblers came out victorious. Loyola won in a hard-fought 5-set match. Ricky Jevis led the Ramblers with a career-high 24 kills. While the Ramblers were headed to Lewis, the Chicago Bears took a trip to Indianapolis for the NFL Draft Combine. Over 300 former college players were invited to show their skills at the Combine. The Bears will evaluate who they will choose with the 11th overall pick in the draft. Most experts predict that the Bears will be going with the defensive player this year because last season they ranked 14th in the NFL in total team defense. The Chicago Cubs are also preparing for next season. Coming off their best finish since 2003, the Cubs are headed to Arizona this week for spring training. It's obvious people are confident in the Cubs roster as they are early Vegas favorites to win the 2016 World Series. Some sports books have them at 4-1 favorites to win the series. Today, the Cubs front office was busy trying to build a championship team. They traded infielder Chris Coughlin to the Oakland Athletics for pitcher Aaron Brooks. The Cubs also re-signed outfielder Dexter Fowler to a one-year deal. That's it for sports.
So hopefully Vegas is right about the Cubs this year.
I really hope so. I think it'd be a blast. Cubs won it.
Thanks so much, Jake.
Thank you.
With spring break coming up, students will be heading to warmer weather vacations, but there's growing concern about the Zika virus and how it will affect travel and safety. Elise Haas tells us how students and health professionals are preparing.
Elijah and Jessica saved up for months for their Caribbean vacation. But now, their excitement has turned to anxiety over uncertainty about a mysterious virus.
We were looking at this trip before the Zika virus was really a media headliner. So now that it's around, we're trying to take the right precautions to make sure we are safeguarded against that.
Due to the outbreak of the mosquito-borne virus Zika, the CDC has issued travel advisories to many popular spring break destinations, like the Caribbean, Mexico, Puerto Rico, Jamaica, and the Virgin Islands. The CDC warns people traveling to these areas that they're at risk for an infection. Zika is primarily transmitted by a mosquito bite, but the CDC has confirmed 16 cases that were sexually transmitted. In Illinois, 4 cases of Zika have been reported among people who had traveled to those regions, and a total of 82 cases across the U.S. Doctors worry those numbers could rise as people travel to the Caribbean over spring break. So medical professionals on campus are trying to educate students about the virus.
We are concerned about the Zika virus only in the sense that for students who are traveling to areas where the Zika virus is present. So we have actually done a media campaign on our website which provides a direct link to the CDC for all the up-to-date information about Zika.
Since there's no vaccine to prevent Zika or medicine to treat it, the CDC advises travelers to protect themselves by using insect repellent on both skin and clothes, and applying sunscreen before the repellent, wearing long-sleeve shirts and long pants, staying in places with air conditioning, closing windows and doors without screens, and sleeping under mosquito nets.
Well, we looked at the CDC's website and their tips for preventing Zika, and we decided just take every step you can and get the bug spray, get the citronella candles and everything, so hopefully we'll be well prepared on that end.
Though the symptoms are usually mild, the scientific concern is for women who become infected while pregnant, and those who develop a temporary form of paralysis after contracting the virus. The CDC only advises pregnant women to avoid these areas. For others, if you don't want these mosquitoes to disrupt your spring break trip, you should make not getting bit a priority. Elise Haas, Loyola News, Chicago.
The Zika virus was actually first discovered in Uganda back in 1947, but outbreaks in tropical regions of the Americas have brought the virus closer to our home and to our attention.
Here's the latest on the investigation into last weekend's deadly shootings in Kalamazoo, Michigan. 45-year-old Jason Dalton is accused of a 5-hour shooting rampage that killed 6 people and injured 4 others. This week, police have seized 15 guns from Dalton's house. 11 of the 15 guns were long-barreled and 4 were handguns. Police also found a 9mm handgun in Dalton's car on Sunday. Investigators say the handgun they believe Dalton used in the shooting was bought sometime last year. Even though Dalton owned the gun legally, he did not have a concealed weapons permit. After the shooting rampage in Kalamazoo, police said that the suspect was an Uber driver. The safety of Uber started to come into question after this shooting spree happened. Uber says that while it does standard background checks, it could not have prevented the rampage. Many Uber users are concerned, but one customer told us it will not keep her from using the service.
I think it's really sad and unfortunate that something like that happened, but I think that's the world we live in, and there's nothing Uber could have done to prevent what happened. The person who committed the crime had no prior history. He was from a good family. There was nothing that they could have seen that would have caused them to think that he would have been a liability for them. And I think it's really sad that something like that would happen, but it's not going to affect my use of Uber. I always make sure that the driver is who they say they are and that the license plate matches up with what it says on the app. So I think as long as you're smart and safe about it, I don't really think you should worry.
A member of the Uber safety board told Time magazine that instead of focusing on the company the suspect works for, the public should focus on issues like gun availability.
Your commute on the CTA is about to get a lot prettier. The CTA announced that it will be looking for artists to create artwork to decorate 10 train stations and 1 bus terminal. The CTA plans to use $2.5 million from the Federal Transit Authority to fund the project. Artists should submit a letter of interest, a resume, and images of their artwork by April 1st. Previous experience with public art projects is not necessary.
Coming up, Siri has some tough competition these days.
The national stage isn't the only one Hillary Clinton is performing on. See Loyola Theater Department's take on the candidate's story, as well as other theater news.
Who says you can't teach an old dog new tricks? Maybe you should go to your shelter and get a mature dog who will make your blues disappear. How's that for tricks? I got picked. Wow.
So you can't save money? That's easy as pie. Brown bagging lunch instead of going out. $6 save times 5 days a week times 10 years is $21,000. That's a lot of lettuce. Small changes today, big bucks tomorrow. Feedthepig.org.
And then I say thanks and I'll add listen.
We get an extra dose of culture this week in our Loyola News Extra. Patrick Rabarczyk is here with that.
Thanks, Larissa. There's a lot of great stuff happening at Loyola to chase those winter blues away. The arts are alive at Loyola, and the theater program is in the spotlight this week. 19th century Victorian society takes the stage this winter with Henrik Ibsen's A Doll's House. Written in 1879, Ibsen's play includes themes and concepts that were groundbreaking and controversial for its time. Associate Professor of Theater Ann Shanahan directs the show that embraces Ibsen's realistic style of storytelling. As the creative team wrapped up rehearsals, they talked with Loyola News about their interpretation of this theater classic.
We're really trying to look at how this classic play, which belongs very much in its time period, still resonates with us today.
He broke a lot of rules. He had, the first woman in literature to leave her husband. He sort of started realism, and I think with this production we're sort of breaking things a little bit more.
A Doll's House runs February 26th through March 6th. Hillary Clinton may not be the star everyone's expected in the primaries, but she's center stage in one Loyola production. Hillary, a modern Greek tragedy with a somewhat happy ending, is a comedy that includes elements of drama. A college-aged Hillary falls in love with Bill Clinton after she angers Aphrodite, the Greek goddess of love. Hillary struggles to see herself as both a beautiful and intelligent woman throughout the play.
And I also hope they see Hillary in a more human light, being able to see more of her insecurities and her vulnerabilities.
A female politician who has a long and very colorful legacy, whether you think that's good or bad, is running for president. And I feel like that's an important thing for us to talk about.
The play runs February 29th and March 1st at the Newhart Family Theater, and tickets are free. So Larissa, a little comedy, a little drama. It sounds like the current political season we have right now, right?
I love it. Art is imitating life.
Exactly.
Thanks, Patrick.
Sure.
The Oscar statuette may be gold-plated, but some say that it should be white. Activist April Rain started the hashtag #OscarsSoWhite to protest the underrepresentation of people of color in the Academy Award nominations. Reporter Erin Kelly goes to Water Tower campus to ask students what they think.
The Oscars have been criticized for the lack of cultural diversity. We asked some students what they thought of this issue.
There's definitely a lack of representation, and I think it's absolutely horrendous that there aren't as many nominations, because what that shows us is, again, it points to the fact that there aren't many big roles. I think it's gotten better. I mean, more and more in television especially, you start to see more diverse roles.
Students agree there's a lack of cultural diversity in the Oscars. They say it's a problem that needs to be fixed. Erin Kelly, Loyola News, Chicago.
Another student said America is a melting pot and the Oscars should reflect that. Diverse or not, the Academy Awards will air this Sunday at 7:30 p.m. Central.
This Saturday, Rogers Park's new 400 Theaters is offering movie lovers a fun and cheap way to spend the day. In honor of recently completed renovations, including new seats and better screens, the new 400 is having a $5 deal day. Movie tickets as well as food and drink specials will only cost $5 the entire day. Movies playing this weekend at the new 400 are Deadpool, How to Be Single, The Witch, and Zoolander 2. If you're one of the many students taking a road trip this spring break, you may want to look into having a new GPS navigator. Google's free navigation app Waze just released a familiar voice to help you on your trip.
Well, look at all that traffic. I told you not to get on this freeway.
Yeah, sorry.
Well, don't apologize to me. Apologize to yourself. It's no wonder your ass is single.
What?
That's right. The voice of God himself, Morgan Freeman, can be your new GPS guide. The Google and Freeman collaboration is all part of a marketing strategy for Freeman's newest movie, London Has Fallen. Freeman plays vice president in the movie and addresses drivers as if they were presidents. Have fun now while you can. He's only available for a limited time.
You know, that's, I would say, very intimidating listening to Morgan Freeman during your ride.
I feel like it would be very soothing, but I would like to check out some of the other voices the app offers. I heard Colonel Sanders is on there too.
Oh, well, I'll definitely download that now then, for sure.
That's our news for today. Thanks for watching.
We'll be back next week with another edition of Loyola News Chicago. Have a good day.